You're in the ending times. You're in that point that you've dreamt about for hundreds of lifetimes. There will be another golden age of light. I'm going to tell you within the next 5 years, you're going to be significantly different.
Guy here. Welcome back today, the awesome Jim Self. And today we continue to dive into the depths of exploring consciousness, this concept of 5D consciousness, and also the light body and the vastness of who we truly are. What I love about Jim, he breaks it down into the mechanics of spirituality, and that we all have these abilities and can access this if we're willing to kind of lean in and do the work. Be sure, look, Jim's open to coming back on the podcast in the future as well. Please be sure to let me know in the comments below if you've got any questions for Jim. I can certainly pose them to him, bring him back on for a third time. I loved it. If you haven't seen the first episode, the first episode is awesome. This episode is awesome. And of course, let me know where you are in the world if you are watching this on YouTube. Let's connect. It's great seeing how these conversations are continuing to go out there more and more. And of course, without you guys, they don't. If you want to join us for our live events and find out what's happening, there'll be links below the show notes as well. We're just starting to map out 2025. This blows my mind, even though we're only halfway through 2024. And as you could tell in my voice, I've just come back from a large event in Melbourne where we had nearly 100 people on the weekend as well, which is fantastic. I feel very blessed. So anyway, much love from me. Enjoy this podcast with Jim. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe. All these things go a long way, helping the algorithms get out there. And like I said, hopefully I'll meet you in person someday, somewhere soon. Much love. Welcome back to the podcast, mate. It's so good to see you return.
Oh, Guy, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
I invited you back, and obviously we were just talking off air as well, but the success of the first podcast blew my mind. I've not seen nothing like it in quite a while in terms of the response and the people engaging on YouTube and the reach it's had. And for me, clearly there's a hunger and a thirst for these kind of conversations, and people really want to know what's going on. And hopefully we can dive deeper today in the second conversation.
But there's a reason why people want to know. It's because they're all, I say this very gently and kindly, they're waking up. They're beginning to remember. They're beginning to have glimpses of this and that. And as they look at the world, they're beginning to be very clear, what I'm watching is not what I'm about. And that's opening the heart and the memory and the light. And it's very mechanical. Spirituality is very mechanical, although people want to go love and kumbaya. And no, it's very mechanical in playing with thoughts, emotions, electricity, magnetism, intention, law of attraction. Very mechanical and procedural and quite lovely.
So when you say those terms, mechanical, procedural, that means in some respects there's a predictable process to the evolution of the human. Would that be fair to say that we're all the same in some respects, and the body will operate the same way?
Yes. In a simple way, you walk up to a door and you push and you push and you push and it doesn't open and it doesn't work and there's obviously something wrong. But you don't pause and say, well, what if I pull it? And the door opens up. So we have a tendency to basically believe we know what we're doing. And then the bigger part of that is, why do you think you know what you're doing? Is because you're really living the story of the mom, dad, teacher, minister. And when you really basically begin to hear that, it's like, who told you these things? And when you really even go a little deeper, one of the things that happens is we've been told, so many people, they walk around with, I'm not okay. We just have, I'm not okay. I'm not attractive. I'm not smart. I'm not capable. Well, who told you that? And I mean that really seriously, because you don't come into this body saying, I'm not okay. And so in a way, the mechanics of all this is really fascinating because somewhere you were enjoying yourself, being yourself, beginning to experiment, try things out. You weren't trying to do something right or wrong. And somebody stepped up and said, "What's wrong with you? You're stupid." And what happens mechanically is they just gave you a gift. They said, "Here, you're stupid. You're not okay. You're not attractive. Nobody's going to ever like you." And we make one of the worst mistakes we can make. We accept the gift and then we try to figure out, what did I do wrong? And if you really pause here and take a look at that, "I'm not okay," whatever each of us use for that phrase, is it yours? And the answer is no. And you can never solve this "I'm not okay" because it was never yours in the first place. And so when you start to recognize that, then one of the next questions you can begin to answer is, whose story am I? And that one begins to be really fascinating because you're living a life in a way that what this third dimensional game has taught us right from the beginning is you have to go to them, mom, dad, teacher, minister, the world, and they will tell you whether you're okay or not. And so we give up that heart space, that excitement, that little 2-year-olds whose eyes are really bright, and we stop searching. We stop being excited. We stop allowing ourselves to experience something and then make a decision for ourselves. Does this work for me or not? But when the mom, dad, teacher, minister jump in and say, "Here's the truth. In this household, we do this, we don't do that. We hang out with these, we don't hang out with these. We eat this food, we don't go here. And we definitely go to this church, we don't go to that church." And all of the conditionality begins to be adapted and then lived and then painfully forgotten into, what's wrong with me? Why aren't I happy?
Yeah, I'm sure everyone listening can relate to that, Jim. And
Yeah.
the question that arose from that, and even when I consider my own journey, is why do we cling on? They're so entrenched in us.
Yeah.
For me, there was a really sense of, like, I spent a large part of my 20s, especially, feeling lonely, even though I had people around me. And I always felt like I didn't fit in. I couldn't in some way connect. So that there was this behavioral pattern that kept me isolated and depressed.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
in my story, I was a victim to the government, to society, to the way the infrastructure was going up. And there was like this real resistance to it all.
Yes.
And yet
Yes.
there was a deeper part of me just yearning so deeply for love, peace, connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But
yeah, so I kept coming up against myself, you know.
well, you kept coming up against the story.
That's right. Yeah.
But see, what happens is you have a set of thoughts and you say, "Well, they're not your thoughts." "Well, but I'm thinking them. How could they not be my thoughts?" is the response that I remember saying over and over. But when you begin to really be able to pause, and right now everybody's pretty lonely, but and I think everybody has had the same experience that you're describing. And what happens is they have said, "I'm not okay." No, you can't do that. And you don't have permission. I don't allow you to do that. And so if you just listen to the power of those words, they are all very contractive. They basically squeeze you into a place that says you're only acceptable, based on my terms, when you do what I say to you to do. So there's that passage, "Whose image have you been created in?" Mom, dad, teacher, minister. Now, let's be really clear. We're not looking for bad mom, dad, teacher, ministers because their mom, dad, teacher, minister did the same thing to them. But right now, this waking up that's going on, people are starting to recognize more and more. And all over the world, people are lonely. And now they're starting to look at the they who's telling me I'm not okay. And when you begin to look at the power and the power over, the domination, the imposition, the advantage, competition, and you look at all of that controlling set of structures and you begin to wake up to it, it's like, no, this isn't right. This isn't working. And that's the excitement of the world today. I can say it in other words, but in a way, you're watching this immigration all over the world, this migration moving. There's a movement, and it's all about freedom. It's about, I want to know me. I want my family, my friends, my co-creators to enjoy myself. Because really, what do you want? I want to be happy. I want to laugh. I want to co-create. I want to sit and just feel comfortable with myself. But when you look at the world around you saying, here's what you got to do, those two things don't make sense. So that's why what's happening right now is exciting. But what you described, Guy, is what everybody goes through. And it's in that question, what did I do wrong? And then see, that never feels good. So I get uncomfortable when somebody yells at me and I don't know what to do. And then finally, I don't want to walk around with it very much anymore. So I put it over here on the side and it's gone. But it's not gone. So then you make a deal with it. You say, look, if you don't come out and bite me in the butt again, I'll never go over there where you embarrassed me, yelled at me, made me feel uncomfortable. And there we go again. We start closing down. We don't go over there. We don't talk to this one. We don't go out and play because I might do something wrong. And that's the pain that everybody feels.
Wow. Does it need to be a painful transition? Because even what was very evident in our last conversation, just reading the comments and people engaging and things like that, that there's a lot of fear and pain that's going around, like especially with the conversation about the world currently in transition, moving more to 5D consciousness. And we just spoke off air about the veil. It's like the curtains are slowly lifting back and our awareness is being able to expand more upon that's being revealed to us. Yeah. And I always remember the feeling as it's been a long journey for me. I'm hesitant to speak about my awakening per se, because there was such a journey before even I started to feel the light body and things that hopefully we'll discuss today. But during that time, it was like coming home to myself. It was like, oh, I actually, that's really familiar. It's like I knew it. Why didn't I see that before? It was there all along.
Yeah. To a great extent, it's what do you give attention to? Let's even take a step a little further back, because everybody has heard about the law of attraction. Everybody. And everybody says, oh, I know what it's about. But let's be really simple. Let's simply define the law of attraction and put a period on the end. I mean a period, not an oh yeah, and, or but, or what about. The law of attraction says what you place your attention upon is what I, the universe who adores you, will provide for you, period. Yes, but. Well, how come? But I don't get. No, period, right at the end. Now let's break that down a little bit. So I've got this backpack full of I'm not okay that I just have talked about. And I'm also living somebody else's story. And I don't have permission to go explore joy and ease and jump off the edge of the cliff into the water because I want to. See that power in the heart that says jump. And yet no, you might get hurt. You can't do that. How many times have you ever, in that moment when it said jump or do this or this is what I want, you did it and you came out on your feet? Listen to that internal guidance system in the heart that says go for it. And if you did, 100%. But see, here's kind of what happens. Let me just be really simple. On one hand, you've got anger, rage, resentment. On the other hand, you have joy, fall down on the ground and laugh your ass off and smile. Which one feels better? And then the next question is, which one do you choose more often than not? And so I've got all this thought, I'm not okay over here. And we protect ourselves from that. We don't hold on to lingering joy and happiness for very long. But if somebody said, that's an ugly shirt you have on, do you think about that all through the next week and the next time you see that person versus the person who said, wow, you got a great smile. You got beautiful eyes. I really like what you just did. How often do you hang on to that thought? And so now let's go back for a moment, if it's okay, and talk about what I just said, the mechanics of energy. And the mechanics of energy are really actually ridiculously simple. Thoughts are electrical, emotions are magnetic. And so what happens is when you have a thought, and most people don't manage their thoughts, they just react. Third dimension is a reactionary state of being, not a constructive state of being. And so you say, well, that's an ugly thing. And immediately the feeling of anger, or ugly, whatever it may be, slams right into the thought. And now I am in the emotion of, let's call it anger. And I'm thinking over and over again, well, why did they do that? They're not okay. They shouldn't be doing that. This isn't good. Those politicians, etc. What happens mechanically is you say let's play it this way. You're in your spiritual space, happy, everything's working. And somebody says, I'll just make the story up I've always told. Somebody says, you have a funny nose. Now, as a kid, everybody laughed at you because for whatever reason, your nose was almost as big as your head and you were you grew up different. And then you grew out of that. Everything became proportionate. Nobody said anything about your nose ever again. But did you create a big backpack full of being laughed at and etc.? And so this person comes along and says with a big smile, oh, you have a funny nose. So you were in a space of ease and you drop into an emotional space of big hyphen ease. It's like, oh no. And that little kid memory comes flashing right back up as it did when you were 3, 4, 5 years old. And the next thing you do is you drop now into the mental body and it's like, oh no, this isn't good. And that big hyphen, hyphen ease just got much smaller, ease. And then you do something electromechanically. You then think it again. Now, it's like a motor, and creating a motor, electromagnetic field, you take a wire and you wrap it around, in this case, an emotion, or a steel bar in the case of mechanics. And if you want a really powerful electromagnetic field, you wrap, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I'm not okay. Why did they say that? This is embarrassing. Oh no, oh no, oh no. And you keep thinking the thought, building this electromagnetic field. Now, two things could happen right here. One is you could walk away and continue to say, what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong. But what you didn't notice is when they said that, you went, oh no, this is not good. But your shoulders never dropped. And now it went from ease into dis-ease. And the body now begins to be inflamed, irritated, restricted, and it doesn't get out of that thought. So the majority of how you get physical dis-ease, uncomfortableness, is directly related to the thoughts that you hold in that backpack. But the other choice is the person says, oh no, I see you just ate chocolate ice cream. It's all over your nose. It really looks cute. Do I stay in that place of dis-ease, or do I go, oh, yeah, sorry, only wipe off your nose and walk away? See, if it's this latter where you laugh at yourself, you exhale and there's no residual anxiety. But if you go back and look at your life, how many times have you responded to, you don't have permission, I don't allow you, you're not okay? So if you go back to that law of attraction, what you put your attention on I, the universe, who adores you, who will never second guess you, will not argue with you even, because you're the creator being. I will give to you what you ask for. And if I've got more attention in, oh no, I'm not okay, I don't deserve, versus laugh down, fall on the ground, laugh your ass off, what do you think you carry around more often throughout the life? Now, one last comment is, you said a minute ago, well, this light is kind of starting to open. It's not starting. It's exploding. And as people begin to start to see, you're in, I'm saying this with a lot of amusement, you're in the ending times. You're in that point that you've dreamt about for hundreds of lifetimes. There will be another golden age of light. I'm going to tell you, within the next 5 years, you're going to be significantly different. Your perception, your awareness, your experiences, based on what's happening right now. That's why everybody's opening up, beginning to recognize there's got to be another way.
With that, so that, wow, you've really got me thinking here.
Great.
With that opening up, then it's then almost you'll hear different terminologies, but I'm just trying to think of terminology now. It's like shining a light on the darkness of the areas that we have not addressed. You know, the things you push to one side, the things that come to there, and the squeeze is starting to happen. So then, what is the best way you find to deal with those things without having the resistance, the pain to them, that we feel like this has to be a hero's journey, it has to be a struggle? There tends to be this language around it sometimes for people, what I witness, you know?
What if I told you, in the absolute simpleness, there's another way? Now let's unpack that. So law of attraction says what you put your attention on is what you get. And let's just decide that's correct. And I have been putting my attention on what I don't want, much more so than what I do want. But what happens if I said, just move over there, just kind of go over here, let's play over here for a minute? And what happens if we went over there and I said, here, take a breath, be in present time, meaning right here, like you and I, we're right in present time. We're not 10 minutes away on either end. We're right here having a conversation. And right here having this conversation right now, do you have any problems? Now, I'm not saying go look for your problems. I'm saying right here in this conversation, do you have any problems? The answer is no. Now, sure, I've got stuff going on, but in this second, in this instant, are we having a nice time? Yeah. Does it feel good? Does it feel comfortable? Is it relaxed? We're not arguing. We're not looking to be better than. We're not competing. We're just having a conversation and we're enjoying ourselves. Now, it's in the moment. So let's see if we can unpack some of this again. So you've heard forever and ever that the past is fixed and that's how it is. If you did something you didn't like, too bad. It's how it is. That's not true. It's simply not true. Now, okay, well, but I got a lot of lineage that says it's true. No, you got a lot of belief that says it's true. Have you validated it or verified? Oh, yes, my mother died and I'm sad, you say. Okay. So your mother died and you're sad. When did your mother die? 30 years ago. Oh, I loved my mom, but I'm so sad. What happens is the past is made up of two things. One is an event. My mother died. Yes, that happened. And that's a piece of information. But the other piece is, I'm sad. Well, I say to you, yeah, okay, I know that guy, you're sad, but hey, I heard you went to a party last night. How was it? And what you do is go, Oh, it was great. I had so much fun. Well, wait a minute. What happened to sad? Where did sad just go? So when you look at the past, what happens is the piece of information may be correct, but the emotion that occurred, let me say this, emotions only happen in the present moment. So when your mom died and you were sad in that past present time moment, that was correct. But if you're still dragging sad through every present time moment, then what you're simply doing is running an emotion through the body that is based on a past belief. Now, if I said to you, all right, let's pause for a minute. And in fact, I'm saying this to everybody. Is there an event? Let's play a game. Is there an event in your life that you hold yourself hostage to? Just keep it simple. And when you put your attention on that event, is there an emotion that comes up? An opinion, a judgment, a condemning of yourself. Oh, I'm not okay. There's that I'm not okay thing. But what happens if we just broke it into two places? So if you take a breath and be right here in present time and look at that event as a piece of information, no emotion, just a piece of information. And then right here where we're communicating, if you ask yourself, do I need to continue to carry this emotion related to that event? Does it have any value to me to be embarrassed about an event that happened 20 years ago? And if you just simply take a breath and be in present time, I have a choice. I could continue to be embarrassed or sad, or I could simply say the event was an event, but the emotion has no value in my life right at this moment. Now, let me pause and see if that made any sense.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what happens when you can look at a configuration, again, a thought, an electrical construct, and an emotion, oh, I'm sad or I'm embarrassed. And how many times have you said to yourself, for whatever reason, oh, I can't do that because I'm embarrassed. Oh, I can't do that because I'm not good enough. Oh, I can't do that because I don't deserve. I don't deserve. I don't deserve. I don't deserve. Can you see how that electromagnetic configuration builds up and holds you hostage to past events? Now, I'm really just touching on the surface of something that's amazingly simple. But simple sometimes is not easy because we want to argue for our limitations. But if you step back and just don't think, put a period on the end of this conversation right here, and basically in a good space, just look at some of your past events that you hold yourself hostage for and ask, does it have value to me right now to carry this emotion from my past? And the answer will be no. And all of a sudden you'll take a breath and your shoulders will drop because you're the one who's holding the electromagnetic field in place, being the victim, being the one, I didn't do it right, I'm not okay. They told me I'm not okay. But they don't even know who you are. They're just living their life, imposing it on, and I say that kindly, in terms of the rules of the game as they understood it. That third dimensional game is over, it's changing, and we're all moving into a kind of a higher, faster space of light. And when you just simply say, you mean I don't have to carry this around? Yeah, you don't have to carry it around. See, it's impossible to be not okay. Impossible. You cannot be not okay. Now, we work really hard at it. You know, it's like wearing shoes that are too small and green pants and a yellow shirt that's too big, and that's awkward. You can't be not okay. We're working really hard at being awkward, trying to live a life that somebody told us is how it works. But let me pause because I'll give you a construct that simply says, would you like to step out of that effortlessly with ease? Literally, right now, different platform.
Yeah.
But let me pause.
Yeah, no, absolutely. there's I don't. It's generating questions, but I don't want to go off tangent with the whole conversation and the construct of everything you've broken down so far. So I guess my question to you is to lean into the moving beyond that, because I find as human beings, we're not even aware of these things. And then as they start to present themselves and they come to awareness, that's where the resistance starts.
Yeah.
But is it as simple as once we become aware, having the humility to step back and be with it, to then accept it?
See, the exciting part is once you become aware, there's no reason to have humility or deal with it. See, something happens is as you begin to let go of that real simpleness where I'm holding on to the sad, my mother died 30 years ago. When you in present time recognize, wow, this doesn't serve me, it disappears. It literally disengages that electromagnetic field because the universe said, I'll give you what you're asking for, law of attraction. And the moment you say, wow, this isn't even mine, I don't need this anymore, the universe simply smiles and says, no problem. And so there's tools and more explanation, simple explanation to, well, how do I let that go? But a lot of the energy you hold on to doesn't belong to you. The comments, the thoughts, even the construction of I'm not okay, it doesn't belong to you. So once you begin to recognize this has nothing to do with me, it dissipates, and the memories that are related to it dissipate. You're in the process of losing your memory. That's not Alzheimer's or dementia. You're starting to find that glow in the heart, that internal guidance system that just deals with beauty and ease and laughter and well-being. It doesn't have anything to do with I'm not okay. So as you begin to move into this, take a breath, go sit on a park bench, enjoy beauty, watch the flowers, say hello to the puppy dog, because when you do those things, you always feel good. Every time you go into that smile, that sense of beauty or that ease, everything unlike it in today's shifting into this fifth dimensional space just drops away. You don't even have to work on it, and you begin to forget it because it was never yours. Now, I'm not selling you anything here, but I am telling you how it works.
I could certainly relate to that, especially like you say, the mind. It just I can't even remember how I used to think, honestly. Like
Yes, yes.
it's like you say, it just phases into what the lens shifts, because it's coming from heart, it's coming from love and peace,
Yes,
and
yes.
you just, and more of that keeps coming in. Like I feel that we've, as again a Welshman growing up in the valleys of Wales, I wasn't conditioned to live that way, and I didn't even believe it was possible
Correct,
for a period of my life. Just
correct,
didn't even enter my mind that you could actually live like this. And it
correct.
wasn't until I started stepping outside of, I guess, my little world and really starting the exploration of the inner world, then
Yeah.
it's become possible.
Yeah, and see, that's why people like you, and you particular, is so valuable to the communities that you serve. It's it's just like me saying to you, "Oh, there, just walk over here." you know, you can stay on the edge of the water and the big tidal waves coming, or you can just go walk over here and watch it happen. Well,
Yeah.
no, you don't understand. This is where I'm supposed to be. Oh, okay. But if you walk over there, that big tidal wave's just going to come and go, and it's going to be a wow. And top of it's going to be like, whoa, did you see all that? Versus standing in front of it going, well, I'm supposed to be here. Really? So what you do, Guy, is so important for the people you play with.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. So, leaning into a loop then of a question to even start to explore into the light body as well, that we've spoke about,
Sure.
and experience, because you spoke about, spirit, and then the mental body, and then the emotional aspect of ourselves. So, recapping some of that, the thoughts are creating the electrical charge, and then the
Yes.
emotion that's bound around it is creating the magnetism,
Yes.
and that's in essence, we're holding that then vibration within us, and more of it is coming into our life. So the information, and I don't know if I'm using the right words here, but the information that's then creating the thoughts, that is creating the emotional charge in the first place, the wound, the experience, the backpack, is that held in the light body?
No,
Is that where all information is held, or
no,
is that
oh,
just
no.
no?
See, the game of the third dimension, humans have created this game. And we have basically believed the story, of power, control, domination, greed, advantage, competition, power over. We've been convinced for the last 30,000 years. A great part of it started down in your part of the world, Lemuria. Different story for a different day. And we've been conditioned into this place of needing to fear. Fear didn't exist. It doesn't exist in the fifth dimensional world. One throwaway line is you can't take your baggage with you on this journey.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been something we've been saying for 20 years. And what's so fascinating about it right now is you don't even have to even consider that thought anymore. As you begin to now move on to this other platform that's beginning to be created of well-being, and it's as if there's a party going on next door, but you weren't invited. Well, in the older time, you would have been angry and upset, and why wasn't I invited? But in this time, it's all of a sudden you notice the doors open and there's nobody standing there saying you can't come in or you have to have a pass. And you accidentally, well, with a passion, you say, well, I'm just going to peek in. And you peek in, and all of a sudden you find yourself walking a little further into the entryway. And then somebody says, hey, do you know anything about such and such? And you just happen to. And you say, yes. And then pretty soon you're sitting at a table and you're laughing and you're telling stories and they're telling stories, and you don't remember living next door anymore. It's that simple. It's what's happening. And so the light body is an important place, but the light body is really about your ascension. It's about this process of remembering, engaging with the higher self and the soul. And
okay. Yeah.
okay. And see, the thing about the higher self, everybody wants to talk to a higher self. Higher self's not interested in talking to you. Well, that's not true. When you are, ain't it awful, and I'm a problem, and I don't have any, and I'm a victim, the higher self will sit there with you all day long. It won't have any conversation with you. But the minute you hit rock bottom, the minute you really say, I really need help, genuinely from that place, all of a sudden, and if I think back, I'm talking to all your audience, think back somewhere you've been there and you say, I need help. And all of a sudden the rent got paid, or, the school sent you the approval to come. Everything worked. The kid who was sick got better. That's not a miracle. That's how it works. And so this space where we're starting to move into is very much a heart space. There is this aspect that we call higher. Well, let me say another higher self. I got distracted. So the moment you start to engage with that higher self, the moment you start to have joy, the moment you start to talk to the flower and be amazed when it talks back to you, and then you laugh, that's the higher self. That's the space we're all moving into, plus or minus, over this next period of time. But what happens is you have a number of bodies. You have a physical body, in a way the least important. You have a mental, emotional body, one body, not two. It has been divided in that not able to manage your emotions and your thoughts. Once you begin to start to realize that over there is a bad thing, that's really a problem, but I'm not going to throw energy or be angry about it, all of a sudden I now have choice is how to say hello to it, as help it, or simply step back and let it pass me. Mm-hmm. But when you're in that reactionary state, there's no room for choice. Choice is not a third dimensional game. No, there's more to that story. Choice is a fourth, fifth dimensional game. Third dimension is all about reaction. You live in the third, fourth, fifth dimension all the time. A story for another day. But when you start playing where you bring that mental, emotional body together, Then you start having access to the etheric body, the higher self, the oversoul, the Christed oversoul, the soul. All of that is you. When you're able to begin to manage your observation, your choice, your means of engaging with what's in front of you, that's what's happening where these curtains are opening up. But when you build that light body, the light body is an integrated system. It's not a body. It's this huge electromagnetic system, and there's 7 new strands of DNA that get put into it. In the work that we do in Mastering Alchemy, that's a whole year course directed by the archangelics, Yeshua, Mother Mary, the Lords of Light.
Wow.
They're all teaching it to the student base. Make it available to you. How can I help? What can I give you? It's something, though, that requires managing that reactionary nature and beginning to recognize what I said in this earlier part, simply as I can. Time. See, in third dimension, we believe time is linear. You talk to 100 people, 99 will tell you you're nuts. You know, of course, this is the only way time works. And the other one basically thinks you're crazy too. But time, there's 5 configurations of present time. It's an application. It's not a truth. You use time to create, not to live in remorse because I'm stuck in the past. Again, a body of information that's very available. We'll talk if you'd like. But when you begin to play in this light body, there's 7 strands of DNA that are activate. And only one of them relates kind of to the physical body. And that's in some of the constructs. But they're all in those other bodies. And what you're doing is you're building an alignment, a relationship, a clarity of all of the aspects of you that are in those bodies that are not accessible to you in that third dimensional, I'm not okay, I don't deserve, my mother didn't like me space. And now I can kind of say to everybody, it's time to get over it. I say that respectfully and kindly. But if you're hearing what's being said, you mean I don't have to be over there? No. You mean I can just step over here? Yes. Is it complicated? No. It's just a matter of not arguing for the limitations in the belief system that's held. See, one of the things, if you believe it is, or you believe it is not, you're correct. You will live that belief. But when you start to have another choice, come over here and build a platform of certain, capable, gracious, and you align it into a geometry called the triangle, simplest of all the geometries. See, one of the pieces of information nobody ever told you, physicalness needs geometries, structure. And so you begin to play in that space. So let me pause again, because I love telling all these pieces, and we can spend weeks here talking about it.
I'm like, oh my God. No, it's fascinating. Thank you for clarifying, because a lot of the things I ask or share has come from an experiential place, not just a book or trying to read.
Yes.
And in my mind, I'm like, oh, well, why has that happened then? How is that, like, then starting to understand the mechanics more, and now understanding your terminology of the light body and the things that you mentioned resonate much more. Because when I had an experience of feeling a lot of energy beginning to move, it just wanted to start to move, and I could feel each chakra really opening up and moving as well. And it was like, oh my God, I'm coming online. I felt it coming out of my hands. I felt it coming out of my head, my feet, and I could feel the energy. It was bigger than this room. It was like, wow.
Yeah.
But through that, there was a part of me that was clinging on for dear life. Like I was almost living some of these experiences that I had, the pains and the things that I was just unaware of, but I was surrendering to it and letting it process, if you like.
Yes.
In that moment. So I guess that's what led me to the question about understanding how you define the light body and what is where those things get held, because I felt the release with it. It's like, wow, it was beyond my thought. It was beyond my emotion,
Yeah.
and
That's
it was
mostly
quite an experience.
That's more than the light body. Light body is a mechanical thing, very valuable, but mechanical thing. But what you're describing is kind of that relationship with that higher self, opening of the heart. And the interesting part is when that all opens up, there's love and light and beauty and laughter and all this wow that you're talking about. But simultaneously, what happens is what you're saying to the backpack is you can go now. And so when you get into excitement, everything unlike that excitement that is not yours simply begins to dissipate. Now, this is where people get stuck quite often, because all of a sudden here comes up my divorce of 25 years ago. And I was being happy for a moment. Then all of a sudden this thing came up and I looked at it and I went, why are you here? Worst question you can ask, because it says, oh, don't you remember here? Let me explain it to you. You were really a jerk and you didn't treat him well. And all of a sudden what was exciting a moment ago is no longer exciting. In fact, you forgot all about the excitement because you said, what is this? Why are you here? But if you can begin to play, one simple concept is when those ugly pictures or old memories come up that say you're not okay, if you can just recognize a little shift, it's leaving. Really simple. If you can say to yourself, one breath, it's leaving. Don't argue with it. Don't ask for more information. It's leaving. Take a breath, turn around, walk out the back door, walk around the house, pat your head, pat your stomach, do something silly. I guarantee you, by the time you get done patting your head, you will not remember why you were doing it. It's leaving. But we get into that euphoric enjoyment state, and then we begin to bring our attention to all of the bad things. They're leaving. It's very mechanical. You said, I want to be here, get rid of all the stuff that's not fun. And the universe said, no problem. And then you go, wait, no, I'm only kidding.
It's so powerful, isn't it? Thank you. That's so helpful and so powerful and so simple.
Yeah.
But we get caught up. And the other thing that really resonated, I felt myself go, oh my God, like when you're speaking about the strands of DNA and things as well, because I have noticed on my journey that there's clearly something evolving in me that's allowing me to grow my sensitivity beyond what I felt with just navigating through my five senses.
Yes.
3D.
Yes.
And that fascinates me as well, because it shows up in different things when working with the field and how it comes in. Yeah. And there seems to be just layer after layer after layer. And the more I kind of just go, oh, that's interesting, and just allow it to evolve, the more it tends to find its way.
Yeah. We're very complex, I say that nicely, mechanical beings. And one of the things that's happening is really pretty spectacular. When we started playing with this about 15 years ago, and it was being explained by Kuthumi, one of the Ascended Masters, he was in so much joy and laughter. And of all my conversations with Kuthumi, which have been many instructive conversations, I've never heard him be so excited. And what he said was, this particular piece of work, I'll describe it in a second, that you're doing was not supposed to happen for another 10 years. And because of all the things that are happening and what you all are doing, it's being brought forth now. It was like, okay. And the thing about it, I'll explain, it's really simple. In fact, it's so simple when you get done playing with it, for just playing off and on with this, you say, well, nothing really significant happened. And the answer is, well, no, really a lot significant happens. And what's happening now is it's beginning to happen to everybody on the planet. You are entering into a different constructive operating system, into the chakras are in the etheric body. They're not in the physical body. And that etheric body is a perfect blueprint for what the physical body was constructed to do. The chakras relate to in the etheric body, relate to the organs in the physical body, kind of the mechanics. But and we understand how the chakras work, at least how they have worked. There's this particular activity was a reconfiguration of the functionality of the chakras. And this is beginning to be conscious in everybody's space. They don't know how to use these words I'm using, but the chakras didn't change position, but they began to operate in a much more interesting way. So right in the heart, there's an arrangement between the fourth chakra, the fifth chakra, and the thymus center in the heart, very much opening of the sacred heart. And so those three components began to operate in an expanded way. In the head, there's a configuration: pineal gland, sixth chakra, and pituitary, and the I don't usually forget words. The amygdala, I'll give it to you in a second. And those are functioning differently. Well, it's funny. How do I forget that word? And above your head, in the seventh chakra, eighth chakra, and soul star. Soul star is just off to the left of the alignment. There's a configuration where those are beginning to function differently. But what it does is it opens up the unified field to your consciousness. Now that whole aspect of all those 5 or 6 bodies begin to have access to in a unified field of attention. Medulla oblongata, a portion of the brain, pineal center, sixth chakra, and the medulla oblongata. And they all have purpose for how to basically expand consciousness. But as you just sit and play with these, not a lot happens. You don't feel euphoric. Electricity is not running through your body, but you're establishing kind of the pathways for everything else to happen. That's now happening to all of humanity, and it's waking up without having any knowledge that this is happening.
Wow. Mind blown, officially.
Yeah, it's exciting, very exciting.
It's very exciting, yeah. And it's these conversations that really excite me, because I feel in my personal journey, there's the pieces are just continually, just slowly slotting into place as I just stay curious and inquisitive. And
yes,
it's really fascinating, even with the podcasting. It's something I do weekly and put these messages out weekly.
Sure.
But as people like yourself come on, Jim, I always hear just that right bit of information at my journey at the right time too. I'm like, okay, yes. That's been, and it just continues to open up. And it's very exciting.
See, the thing about it is, it's just what you just heard. Let's not call it a truth. A truth is just something that we each hear and then use or discard, in this case, truth, for our own purpose and application. There are universal laws like law of attraction, law of allowing, law of deliberate creation. They are structures that if you play by them, you get pretty repetitive, consistent responses. So I put that in the category of a truth. It works for me, and this is how I do it. But everything I'm saying here, what you're getting excited about is not because I'm telling you a truth. I'm simply pointing out to you something you already know. And if you just think, it's like you're going, wow, I'm getting excited. Yes, because I'm not saying, let's talk about all your problems and figure out how you were a victim and how you stole the candy bar when you were 7 years old. You really should worry about that one. We're not talking about that. We're talking about you, the audience, everybody, as exciting beings that cannot be not okay. And once you get over here where you're okay, you begin to get excited because you mean I can do this, or I could do that, or this works this way. Yes. And then there's that whole aspect of joy, because that's what's in your heart.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. I'm aware of the time. I'm going to have to wrap it up in a minute, which I really don't want to do, but being a dad with my 7-month-old now is up and time. It's like, I could talk to you for hours, Jim. I really could.
Let me add one last piece to you.
Please.
Everybody. There's this aspect of masculine and feminine. We're not talking about bodies. We're not talking about psychology. We're talking about structure. Masculine is structure, angles, straight lines. Feminine is flow, smooth, curves, movement. The first aspect of creation is feminine. It's that creation from the womb of God. It's that birthing of a construct, an idea, an opportunity, something new. The first impulse of your creation is flow, not structure. The flow is something where the feminine says, oh, wouldn't it be nice if we could figure out how to feed the birds? There's no angles to that. The structure, the masculine says, I can build the birdhouse. I can do that. I can make that happen. The masculine loves structure. But the masculine world we've lived in 3D is about structure and limitations, rigidity, compressions, where we're now moving into a feminine creative construct where masculine and feminine, yin and yang, begins to work together in order to create light at a whole new level. A whole new realm of consciousness is what we're all doing right now.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And that's a beautiful place to end the conversation, Jim. And just, can you say your website out loud just for people if they want to find out more? I'll make sure the links are in the show notes as well for everybody.
Sure, masteringalchemy.com. But let me also add Project Park Bench, because everything we've been just talking about 2 Sundays a month for an infinite period of time going forward is everything we just talked about, starting with 2,000 people sitting on that park bench together.
Wow.
To begin to live in this co-creative gathering of one or more to create this new realm of consciousness. So park bench, even though you're all in a different time zone, it is a living field of light that you can just tap into and listen. Go to park bench and sign up. That would be where a lot of the information we just heard is going to be. It's free. It's of no charge.
Incredible. Jim, thank you so much. And thank you for all that you do and returning. As always, really appreciate everything. And what an amazing conversation.
Great. Guy, blessings
so
to you.
much.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.